Do you like shiny things? Are you a gambling addict? If you answered yes to these questions, then the Goldfind Barb is for you. In this video, I'll discuss the Goldfind Barb and how it works. So what is a Goldfind Barb? The Goldfind Barb stacks as much Goldfind as possible and puts skill points into Find Item for an additional chance to find more gold or items. Unlike most classes, this build relies solely on our Act 2 Might Mercenary to kill the Council in Act 3 Travancore. My Goldfind Barb is currently sitting around 2400 increased Goldfind, and I average around 500k per 3-minute run. Sometimes I get less than 200k, others require a trip back to the stash because I can't even carry all the gold. You're going to want to max battle orders and leave. Find Item, you're going to want to put points up to a 50% chance with all of your gear and Battle Command buff. Natural Resist, similar to Find Item, you're going to want to get that to 60% resist with gear and Battle Command. 1 pointers, you'll need 1 in Battle Command and 1 in increased speed. I'm not listing all the prerequisites because those are mandatory. The rest of your points you can put into pretty much anything you want. I chose a split between Warcry and Shout. You could put all of these into Shout for better party synergy. But I like having the points in Warcry, and all of my future points will be going into Shout because Warcry's benefits from here on just don't increase enough. The negative defense and damage are just going up by like 1 or 2%. Not really worth the skill point in my opinion. As far as your stats go, you're going to want enough strength and dex to equip your gear. Obviously, if you're running like a torch and stuff, this can help. And the rest into vitality. As far as gear goes, I have 2 double-lemmed Alibabas. You're going to want an Ike helmet that's double-lemmed. Try and get as high as MF as possible, but we don't really care too much about Magic Line. We're just trying to get gold. The MF is just kind of a bonus. You're going to want a Wealth Armor. Throw it in Elite base, or any base really. Your Barb's not going to be getting hit much because you're just going to be perma-CCing everything. Chance Guards, you can try and get a high roll on these for the MF, but it's not important. Again, the Goldfind doesn't roll, so just any pair will do. Gold Wrap does actually roll on the Goldfind, so 80% is max. You're going to want to try and get an 80% Goldfind, or as close to it as possible on your Gold Wrap. 2 times Dwarf Stars for the 100% Goldfind on both. These also benefit you if you have positive fire resist, because you're going to be getting hit with Hydras. You're going to be getting hit with a lot of Hydras, and the Absorb from the Dwarf Stars can actually heal you, make you tankier, and make it so you don't have any more issues. Inferno Strides, the only unique pair of boots I believe that have high Goldfind. You can find a rare pair of boots with potentially better stats, but Inferno Stride are cheap, easy to find, and they fit just fine. As far as the amulet goes, you're going to want a +3 Warcry amulet, ideally with Goldfind, but I'm not sure. These might get kind of expensive. I haven't seen one. I do pick up all the blue amulets I find, and I DM to try and get that lucky Warcry Goldfind amulet. As far as the swap goes, we're going to have 2 times Echoing Weapons, which is +3 to Warcries. Just in case people are wondering if you can put 2 Call to Arms on your swap for Barbarian and get +12 to Warcries, you cannot. Barbarians are limited to +3 skills for their Warcries on their weapons, so Call to Arms is kind of just an expensive Echoing Weapon. As far as your charms go, you're going to want a Geeds with as high as gold and Magic Find as possible. All other Grand Charms should be 40 Goldfind Grand Charms or close to it. As you can see, a lot of mine are like 30s, the high 30s, mid 30s. If you can get them, get 10 Goldfind Small Charms as well. I don't worry about this too much because my Goldfind's already so high that, getting an extra 50 or whatever isn't that big a deal. If you really wanted to min-max though, you would want to go for these 10 Goldfind Small Charms. Obviously, throw a torch in if you have it, but not a requirement at all. As far as Merc's gear goes, you're going to want to try and get your hands on an Ethereal Bone Hue with 2 shells in it. F isn't a requirement, but it does speed runs up significantly. You can use a regular Bone Hue, try and get as max enhanced damage on it as you can. If you do use a regular bone hew, you can use one with a single hell rune to reduce the strength requirement if your merc isn't quite up to that 196 or somewhere. It's in the 190s. So you can use a hell and a shell, or you could put 2 limbs. I don't know what the best is. I think 2 shells is, because it gives them basically each shell gives them another frame off of their jab. So having 2 shells means they attack 2 frames faster with their jab, whereas if you had 2 limbs, you'd just be getting 150% more gold flying. So I'm not sure which is the most efficient. I use the shells. I think it's better. As far as the armor for your merc goes, you can use a wealth, which is what I'm currently using, and there's Duriels. Duriels is a good option. Pretty much any armor that gives high resist is a good option. And honestly, the wealth is completely fine to use because I'm going to be bugging my merc, and we'll talk about that later. If you don't like to bug your merc, you don't want to bug your merc, then I would use a resist armor. Basically, by bugging your merc, it just means that all of the Hydras and the Council, they're just going to ignore him. They're going to pretend he's not even there. They're going to focus everything on you, and he's not really going to take damage. So you can leave him squishy with the wealth armor and get that bonus 300 gold find, which is so juicy. As far as his helmet, you're going to want a Crown of Threes. It's got really high gold find, really high life leech, and that's exactly what you want for a merc. I've got an ethereal one in mine. It's socketed with the Lem rune. You don't need ethereal, it's just cool to have. So as far as the run goes, this is what we're going to do. We're going to run out. Well, we're first going to work right. Obviously, we want to buff up ourselves and our mercenary. We're going to run up to the north here and kind of get our merc into this little area before we start leaping through. And what this is going to do is it's going to lock the merc over here, so they'll teleport to us once we go far enough away. And once we get to that leash range and they teleport, this is what bugs the merc. This is what, I'm not sure exactly how it works, but it basically removes merc as a target for enemies, and even Hydras. Hydras, like the spell Hydras, they won't even attack your merc, so it makes the whole process easier. It's not required, but I do it just to make everything smoother. So once you've got your merc bugged, you're going to start hopping and trying to wrangle all of the council into a tight little group. If you can do this, the bone spear from your merc's bone hew is actually going to, penetrate and hit multiple council members at once, so it gives you a little bit of AoE, speed your runs up a little bit. It can also help with physical immunes, although if you get a physical immune, I would just try and separate it away from the pack and get your merc to attack things that aren't physical immune. Sometimes easier said than done, but with practice you can get pretty good at singling out a single council member. And I usually just leave the physical immunes at the end. I just pop all the corpses that are there and leave the physical immune, go on to the next game. One thing that is important to note is that you should not, under any circumstances, leave the area before you use find item on the corpses. This is because if you leave for longer than like a second, the corpses will disappear, they'll despawn, and you won't be able to use find item on them, so that's, potential hundreds of thousands of gold lost. You can pop down to Durance level 1. If you pop right back up, they won't despawn, but you have to do it quick, which means your load times have to be fast. If you have slow load times, do not do this. The corpses will be gone when you get back. But it is useful for repositioning your merc if he's like too far away. You can just run inside, jump down the Trav 1, or jump down the Durance 1, hop back up the Trav, and your merc will spawn right there with you. So if you want to pop the corpses as they fall as a safety precaution, just in case you need to like TP out or whatever, then that's completely fine. I usually just wait till the end, until everything's dead, and then I go around and pop everything. So that was my guide on the Gold Find Barb. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. If you like this guide, let me know in the comments. Send me a like, hit subscribe, and I will see you next time.